Okay, this is the first review I've ever done of anything, so please bear with me. This is a Camillus Carnivore XZ, and it is one of their, I guess, a modern take on a machete. Now, I understand that they had a Camillus, it was a Carnivore X and a Carnivore Z. And the only time I've seen this Carnivore XZ is in Walmart, and they're selling them in Walmart for the Christmas season 2015. And I picked them up on a lark because I had an incident not too long ago where I was, I'm a hunter, and I had shot a deer and was tracking it, and when I found the deer, I had forgotten my saw. Now, I had my knife with me, thank God. But the reason why I usually carry a saw is I split the pelvis bone to remove part of the entrails, and I had left it at my car, and as such I didn't have anything to do it, so it made a job that's not too hard, just a little more difficult. And I didn't feel like I did as good a job as I should have. So I was looking for something to put in my backpack that I would carry with me all the time that was useful for a number of things. I used to carry a folding saw, and I also carried a small hatchet for a while. And I've got out of the habit of that because I don't like the extra weight, and I don't really use them that often. I don't cut a lot of wood, and, you know, only time I used the saw really was clearing shooting lanes or dressing a deer. And I picked this up when I was in the market for a new backpack, and I just happened to see this and picked it up, like I said, on a lark. And the reason I picked it up was not so much for the blade, which I think is useful in a way, but because of the saw. The saw looks like it would do a really good job on wet bone, which is what you have in the pelvis. I don't really anticipate using it for much of anything else. If I was going to cut a clearing lane, I would use a dedicated saw, and, you know, that's that. But as far as having something in my pack that I can split the pelvis with or take off a leg if I had to, this would do the job. This is not the kind of review where people are cutting down trees and making, you know, feather for, you know, starting a fire. This is just from pretty much from a hunter's, you know, point of view. This machete it straddles the line. Please excuse the dehumidifier. I'm in my basement, but this straddles the line between what a machete is and a large knife. And generally, I don't carry large knives. I carry smaller knives, 4 to 6 inch blades is all I generally carry when I carry a knife. I'm not a knife person. There are gun people and knife people. I'm probably more of a gun person, but I'm not a knife person. That doesn't explain why I own 75 knives, mind you, but, you know, bear with me. Just take my word for it. I am not a knife person. But, like I said, this straddles the line between a large knife and a small machete. It does chop very well. I tried out a little bit. It's really sharp, really probably too sharp for a machete. The type of sharpening is a knife sharpening, but it works, you know, and the blades held up extremely well. The saw doesn't saw as well as I hoped, but like I said, I think it would do better on bone, especially wet bone, and it's a nice coarse cut, and it would do the job, and like I said, it's not, you know, prolonged. If you do have to cut wood, it will cut wood. This gut hook, they call it a gut hook wire cutter. I think it is a novelty item. This is a really kind of one of those knives that has a lot more, you know, it's a multi-tool, and it's got the chisel tip, and this type of knife is a series of trade-offs. It's a multi-tool, and I'll grant it that, but it's a series of trade-offs. It's not the best chopper, but it'll chop. It's not the best saw, but it will saw. And this gut hook is probably not the best gut hook ever made. I don't use one very much. But, you know, like I said, it's a series of trade-offs. One of the things that I worried about when I bought this was I looked at some reviews, and I found that the X series of carnivores had a different type of tang and hilt. And where this one is an injection molded hilt that goes all the way through, and it appears to be a full tang. As you can see, there's the other style had a series of rivets in the handle, and because it was basically a stick tang, they were breaking at the juncture where the rivet was through the tang, and that was not a good thing. Apparently what they've done is they went back to the drawing board. They've made this more of a full tang, and there are no rivet holes to weaken the tang, so that's good. It does chop. I did chop with it. I don't do a lot of chopping with knives or axes or anything really. Where I live at is in the southeast of the United States. I live in West Virginia, and we don't have a lot of jungles, so I'm not, cutting paths, but occasionally you do have to cut things, and I guess it would do that job. Batoning, I don't think this notch is deep enough into the blade, nor do I think it is. I think the material is thick enough that you would not have a breakage problem there if you were to baton with this. I fall on the side of, if you're going to split wood, use an axe or a saw, understanding that batoning with a knife is sometimes, it's always a useful skill to know, and sometimes if you only have a knife, you can do it. But if I was going to split logs or anything, I would use an axe or a small, and a maul, that is. Excuse me, I have a cold too. But I think you would do that, especially if you were to hit it forward of this, like here on this area, instead of like forward of the notch. I think you would have no problems. You might dull your saw, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Overall, I think it's a pretty good knife. I think it'll last me well and serve me well. I don't think, because I don't use it very often, that when I do need it, I think it'll work. I think they've, from what I've seen and appear to see, they've fixed the hilt problem. And overall, I'm pretty happy with it. If I had a downside about it, I don't like stainless steel. This is stainless steel that's titanium bonded, and I don't like either one of those. I would be much happier if this was a carbon steel blade. I like the thickness of it because I think it will stand up better. But that's not the total package. You also get the sheath, which is nylon. At least they had the decency to put hard plastic in there to keep the blade from cutting through the nylon, within the first 2 weeks of owning it. But this sheath is floppy nylon. For what I want it for, which is I'm going to put it in a backpack. I'm not going to wear it. I think it will do an adequate job of protecting the blade in my backpack. The rivets are nice. I've seen some sheaths in this price point that are sewn completely and no rivets, and I think that is a tragic mistake waiting to happen, because I don't care how good it is, this will eventually cut through this, and these rivets will delay that and possibly stop it. Also, every one of these comes with this little doohickey here, which is a little utility knife. Now, the selling point of this is it's got these hex, I don't want to call them like wrenches, but it's got these little hex inlets where you can use it to loosen up a hex bolt or something. And also, if you look at it, the first thing that struck me is this is designed to be lashed to a stick to make a sphere. A sphere. I can't talk, I swear to God, guys. Not doing well. But you can see this lashed to a stick with cordage in here, and you have a blade here, and these little things here make it barbed for fishing. You could stab a fish theoretically. Believe it or not, the quality of this right here, and I can't put it any other way than this to say that it's sharp, and the blade, the steel has the feel of good quality steel. I know that's not a very scientific thing to say. It just feels like that. It feels like a good quality piece of steel. The grain, I guess, the way it's cut. Now, having said that, feeling good, this is not really all that pleasant in the hand. It is a lot of rough edges, burrs on these cuttings. I'm sure this is probably laser cut. Makes this very hard to handle, and I'd imagine after a while it would, irritate the skin of your hand, especially if it was wet. But if you were so inclined, you could take a piece of sandpaper, emery board, if your wife has one laying around you could steal, wire brush, and you could knock these off and make it much nicer in the hand. But if this is definitely like just a little extra blade, I guess it adds novelty to this, which I wasn't looking for novelty, but there you have it. And the little sheath snaps on. You can take it off. It has another little belt loop, so you can put it on your belt. So you can have two knives on your belt. It snaps back on. So it's, like I said, it is a functioning knife. It is better than no knife. I was not impressed with the sheath, but like I said, it's quality. The blade I said, the blade feels good. It feels good in the hand. I would definitely put a lanyard on it because I think wet or cold hands might come off this more easily than you would want, and no one wants this thrown at anybody. So that's basically what I have to say about it. Time will tell whether they are as reliable as they seem to be. I would imagine, because of the changes in design, they would have to be more reliable than the X series I've seen. Also, another thing, I like that they have changed the, and I know this purely from watching videos online, I don't know this from any personal experience, but they appear to have, well, I know they have, the X series carnivores originally had a half straight, half serrated saw blade on the cutting edge. I do not like those, and I think they were wise to move the saw to the back of the blade. That's really all I got to say, folks. Like I said, time will tell whether these are more reliable. If you buy one of these, beware of the sheath. Put a lanyard on these. And good luck with it. Thank you.